What made May 17th so noteworthy? It was nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't my wife's birthday, our anniversary, or the first time we met. It was just an ordinary Tuesday, which is why I picked it. My name is Keith, and after 12 years of marriage to Lisa, I've noticed that things have started to become a little stale in our relationship. It's not that I didn't love her. She and the kids were the most important things in my life. However, that spark that usually lit up her eyes was missing. When I said that the passion in our relationship had diminished, I decided to plan an unforgettable evening for her. On Monday morning at work, I decided to bring out the big guns. Katie, Cheryl, and Karen. They're three of the most attractive single women at work. I asked them around midnight, if you could write the script for the most romantic night of your life, what would it be? They all started coming up with ideas like Paris, making love in a gondola in Venice, or watching the sunset from a hot tub in the Swiss Alps. They were easy to talk to, so I told them I was thinking more of a romantic night at home or in one of the hotels in the city center. I told them it wouldn't cost a fortune by midday. They came back with a list of ideas that were now within my budget. I thanked them, took them out to lunch, and started making plans. They seemed just as excited as I was, jumping up and down and joking that I better not fail because now they had a bet on how my evening would end. The first thing I did was take Wednesday afternoon off so I could get everything done before she got back. I usually got home around 6 o'clock, but Lisa was always home by 3:30 on Tuesday nights to meet the kids as they got off the school bus. I let Lisa know that my parents were planning to take the kids out for dinner and a show on Wednesday, so they'd probably be home around 8 o'clock. When I got home at 6 o'clock, the kids were even more excited when I told them I had a surprise for their mom and that they'd actually be spending the night with their grandparents. My parents always spoiled them rotten. I left work around 11. On Wednesday, I had some free time, so I went around and made sure the kids were spending time with their mothers. Then I went to the store. I got her a nice card, some good chocolate, and her favorite wine. The girls gave me a list of everything that needed to be done, from the lighting and music to setting the mood. The flower girl gave me a funny look when I asked her for 2 pounds of pink petals. That is, until I told her what I was planning to do with them. Your wife is very much. I had an hour to get everything ready, so I did a few things. I popped the wine in the freezer, made a heart on the bed with the rose petals, and wrote, "I love you," in chocolate chips. I filled the tub with water and put the remaining petals on the side of the bed. I popped the wine in an ice bucket and put a card next to the reading light on her nightstand. I turned off the overhead light, opened a bottle of wine, and poured 2 glasses. I put our portable CD player on the dresser and decided I'd turn it on after she came into the bedroom. The last thing I did was take a shower, shave, and get undressed at exactly 3:25. I heard her car pull up. I was good to go. I closed the bedroom door, stood at the foot of the bed naked, holding 2 glasses of wine, and waited for her to come upstairs. I heard muffled laughter and what sounded like a group of horses coming up the stairs as they burst through the bedroom door. "Yes," I replied. "They're Lisa and her boss, Rick. Do you know how long 4 seconds are? When your eyes meet hers, or after 3 heartbreaks, but it's enough time to kill the romantic mood and destroy a marriage." It took Lisa a second to realize something was different when she ran into our bedroom. Her shirt was unbuttoned, and her bra had already been removed. Her brain then sent an impulse to her voice box, which took approximately 2 seconds for her to utter the words, "Oh my God." At last, she realized she was, so to speak. If this wasn't the world record for breaking up a marriage, it should have been at least second. Rick saw what was going on and turned around, heading for the front door. It was gone in less than 45 seconds. Meanwhile, I watched as Lisa began to cry and fell to her knees. I poured the drinks down the sink and went to the closet. I started getting dressed while Lisa told me she was sorry and that she loved me. It took me about 5 minutes to get dressed and tell her it would be best for her to leave before I returned. I went downstairs, got into the car, and drove to the closest place I could get a drink. I'm at Tony's, having my 4th beer, trying to figure out what I should do next. It's 6 o'clock. I went back to my house, which was quiet and empty. The front door was unlocked, and Lisa's car was nowhere to be found. I quickly went downstairs and into our bedroom. Everything was basically the same as when I left. The garden tub was in working order, the wine was there, and so was the chocolate. I noticed that Lisa's closet was open, as were several dresser drawers. I sat down on the bed. I got back to the bed and tried to get my thoughts in order. When my cell phone rang, I turned it off without answering because I wasn't in the mood to chat at the moment. I knew I needed to replace the mattress in the guest room. I told myself that when I woke up the next morning, I'd take a shower, shave, and go to work. But on my way to the office, I looked like I was going through the motions. How did it go? All three girls were pretty vocal. When I got to my office, I was immediately asked a bunch of questions. It must have been one hell of a night, Karen said, nudging the other two. That's how it went, I replied, giving them the short version of what happened last night. What are you planning to do? Katie piped up, her voice carrying to everyone in the room. I'll do my best to survive and take care of my children, I said. If you don't mind, please keep it to yourself. I don't want to be the subject of ridicule in the office. I told them they were sorry and that if I needed someone to talk to, they were always there. I thanked them and closed the office door. I also closed my bank accounts, credit cards, life insurance policies, and 401k account. At 3 a.m., I called my parents and told them that Lisa and I were having some problems. I asked if they could keep the kids until the weekend. They were sorry to hear about this and were happy to watch the kids. Checking my phone, I deleted all 20 messages from Lisa. The lawyer gave me the name of a good lawyer at a reasonable price, if possible, and I made an appointment for Friday morning. It's only when you spend a couple of hours with a divorce lawyer and he lays out your options, or lack thereof, that you truly realize how screwed you are. It was a case of your word against hers. Lisa and Rick hadn't done anything yet, but when you caught them, you couldn't kick her out of the house because it was her house too. What really bothered me was, it was likely that she would get custody of the kids, the house, and at least 40% of what I made after taxes. They messed me around and didn't even say thank you. He suggested marriage counseling, or at least a 90-day cooling-off period before I did anything. Look, Keith, no matter what you do, you'll be paying child support for at least the next 8 years, plus house payments. The best you can do is buy yourself some time and try to limit your losses. If I were in your shoes, I'd move into the spare bedroom and do my best to make life at home as easy as possible for your kids. He suggested I leave early and move all my stuff into the spare bedroom. I bought a new mattress for the spare bedroom and threw the old one away. I didn't answer Lisa's calls, but I knew she'd get in touch eventually. I made sure I was ready for her when she arrived. I picked up the kids on Friday on my way home from work and took them to a pizza place. They had a great time, but we were happy to head home. Lisa finally showed up around 8 o'clock that evening. The kids gathered around her, but she kept her eyes on me until 10 o'clock. The kids went to their rooms, and I went to the guest room. Lisa asked if we could chat later, but I told her I wasn't in the mood. Let's save it for tomorrow, I said, shutting and locking the door. I heard a muffled scream as she looked around what used to be our bedroom. I heard sheets being pulled off the bed and other noises as I pictured her trying to tidy up the room on Saturday. The next morning, I found a card, some rose petals, and chocolates in the trash, along with an empty bottle of wine. The kids had breakfast and went off to their usual Saturday activities, friends and football. I wasn't really hungry, so I just made coffee. Just as I was finishing my first cup, Lisa came down. I poured myself another cup, grabbed the newspaper, and went out onto the deck. You know you'll have to talk to me eventually, or anything else that sounds nice. I said, we'll get along for the sake of the kids until I figure out what's best for me and for them. It seems like you've already made up your mind, Lisa. She ran into the house, and I finished my coffee and started tearing the newspaper up angrily. Work was pretty rough for the next couple of weeks, but at least it wasn't as bad as my home life. Someone at work had let the cat out of the bag, and now I was getting all these pitying looks from the women in my office. Every time I walked past them, my boss wanted to know why I wasn't at work. I told him I needed time off, but I also told him that I needed a job to keep me sane. From day one, the kids knew something was up. They asked if they had done anything wrong. I told them everything was fine, but it wasn't. Lisa tried to get me to open up to her and even tried to seduce me once, but I just wasn't feeling it anymore. I felt pretty rough when Cheryl walked into my office on Thursday, just before 5. Let's go. We're heading out. I looked up to say something, but I couldn't find the words. Perhaps I didn't make myself clear. This isn't a request, but I just wanted to share something with you. Grab your coat. We're heading out. When Cheryl and I got to Anani, there were two more of the trio there. Katie and Karen were sitting at a table in the corner after ordering drinks. Cheryl started working on me. "You need to get your head back in the game, Keith," she began. "You've been acting a bit out of it for the last 2 weeks. Even though we're all on your side, you're going to have problems if you don't think things through. I have my reasons, so why don't we just take a step back for now?" I was tempted to respond angrily. "Take a step back for a second. What's it to you, Keith? Or are you just going to dwell on it? I really feel for you. I'd like things to go back to how they were before this happened." I said, looking at my glass, "that I thought you said your marriage was stale and you wanted to revive it." Katie asked, "Are you really interested in going back to your old routine? Do you have feelings for her?" "I have mixed feelings about her. I wish I could just tell them to stop and strangle them for what they did to me." I let out a scream. "I'm not sure what to do or even where to start. Let's grab a bite to eat and then we'll figure it out." Cheryl said, "The first thing we need to do is level the playing field. Let's call the waiter. Just to give you a heads up, Lisa is still in your house and goes back to work every day. Rick, on the other hand, goes home to his loving wife and kids, even though he messed up your marriage." Cheryl said, "It's time for you." By the end of the evening, I felt better, and they were right. I had to take action. I just couldn't let this go on. It was really starting to affect me. Lisa asked where I was when I got home. "So what's your focus right now?" I let out a yell. The next day, she went into her bedroom and cried. "I met with my lawyer, Randy. I thought you were going to wait for a divorce." He replied, "Yes, I want to. Sue the company that Rick and Lisa work for, then file an alienation of affection lawsuit against Rick." I told him, "Keith, you don't have any hard evidence. I told you so, but they work for a public company. With all the news lately about corporate mismanagement, I don't think they'd want bad press. Also, even though Lisa wasn't at work, don't most managers usually work until 5 o'clock? I think it's fair to say that most company bylaws include a clause about morality. It's not exactly kosher when a married boss has sex with a married employee he supervises, especially during working hours." Randy said it would take a couple of days for everything to be finalized and the papers filed, but he'd let me know when things got underway for the next 3 days. I was back to my old self at work, joking around and even talking to Lisa again, which made her day on Thursday. Randy called to let me know that I'd asked him to wait with Rick's papers until we reached an agreement with their company by the following Tuesday. Randy and I were in a meeting with the CEO and his manager. We went over the documents, and it looked like they were missing some info about the alleged incident. The manager started off by saying something about frivolous lawsuits, and I stood up and headed out when he seemed surprised. "We'll see what happens." "In court," I said, standing up from my chair. "We'll get statements from all the office staff. I'm just wondering how many of them knew what was going on. I just need to find 1 or 2 people." I told them, "How many managers do you think will stick up for Rick when it's their job on the line? Best of luck, gentlemen." I said goodbye to Randy as I was leaving. I was at my desk on Wednesday when Randy gave me a call. "They want to sort things out, or as they put it, make this mess go away." He said, "Well?" I asked for $250,000 in attorney fees and for them both to be transferred to other state offices, which should cover everything. I told him to let them know the offer is still on the table until noon on Thursday, and then we'll get back to them that afternoon. Randy gave me a call again. They agreed to the fees and transfers, but they're offering $150,000 instead. He told me, "Randy, let's not haggle over this. Tell them the price is now $300,000. If they come back with another counteroffer, we'll up the price to $400,000. Maybe this will wrap everything up on Thursday at 3 o'clock. Randy called to let me know my offer was accepted. He said he'd have the forms ready for me by 5 p.m. He was true to his word and delivered the package to my office at 4:30. The secretary said they were waiting for him. Once I'd looked over the papers and the check that was attached to them, I signed them and handed them over. If someone's looking for me, I'm out of the office all day. I told her I was heading out and left the office in the car on my way home. I gave Randy a quick call and told him to serve Rick tonight. I was really happy when I got to his house. By tomorrow, I'll have taken care of this and I can move on with my life. All right, that's it. Let's go out to dinner tonight. Grab your coat. Over dinner, We chatted and laughed as we had done for the past 12 years. Life was pretty good again, almost good when we got home. Everyone thanked me for a great evening and went off to their rooms. Lisa came over and gave me a kiss on the cheek, thanking me for the evening. He was a big part of tonight. She said, I told her we'd have a nice. We had a long chat. Tomorrow night, she'll be getting some sleep. You son of a... Lisa let out a shout. You had a feeling this was going to happen, didn't you? I replied. Can you tell me where the job you were offered is? I asked. Tenant, New Jersey. I don't know where that is. It seemed like my services weren't needed anymore. I was needed there, and it was either New Jersey or I was out of work. She said that I told them there was no way they would transfer me there. Then they gave me a bonus and told me I had 20 minutes to clean the table. She started to cry. I gave them 8 years, and in 20 minutes, I was out the door. She said, sitting on a kitchen chair and crying. Is your friend Rick being transferred? I asked Flint, Michigan, and she said, it's in the Northeast, and it's pretty grim. This couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I said, this is how things are going to play out, Lisa. I pulled up a chair and said, if you want to be part of this family, I'll run through the conditions. If you want to be part of this family, there are a few things you'll need to do. First, you'll need to get a checkup for sexually transmitted diseases and bring me a certificate of health. Then, you'll take a polygraph test. I'll even give you a heads up on all the questions. I said, holding the paper across the table. As you can see, the questions get progressively more challenging as you go down the list. She got to the last group and started to cry. Am I the biological father of my 2 children? I'm not sure why she cheated, given that we had sex a few times in the last couple of months. Who are you thinking about, Rick or me? How often have you been untruthful with me over the past couple of months? How many other people have you been involved with romantically? Do you still have feelings for me? You have a meeting tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I said, if you get through this without any major surprises, we have an appointment with a marriage counselor for Saturday morning at 10. Huey, the team, and Lisa just sat there, crying, as they went through the questions. I can answer those questions now if you'd like. She said, I think I'll wait until tomorrow. I told her, I just don't trust you anymore, and I want to start over without any misrepresentations. I wasn't totally satisfied with her answers, but I decided she passed. Do I trust her? Absolutely not. Do I plan to stay with her? It's still too early to tell, but we're working on it. The hardest part is that we haven't had sex in the last 5 months, and that's what I really miss. We have sex about once or twice a week to relieve some tension, but it's not quite the same thing. Rick transferred to Flint, Michigan last year. I sent him a Christmas card from Florida that said, glad you're not here. Oh, and his wife and kids are here too. I think the sunny South won out over the cheating husband. I guess you'll just have to figure it out.